Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We are back.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are continuing with our look at the triennial Torah portion. I'm saying continuing, but we're actually beginning again our journey through the Torah portion, starting all the way back at the beginning. We are reading today Bereshit in the beginning. Bereshit in the beginning, and we're going to be reading Genesis, Bereshit 1 verse 1 through chapter 2 verse 3. Genesis 1:1 to 2 verse 3. We'll go ahead. We'll just read all the way through from the beginning all the way to 2 verse 3, and then we'll go back and try to look at some of the pivotal key moments in our portion. So let me go ahead and pull up for us Genesis 1:1. Put it up here on the screen for us. And we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see here if you could go ahead and read nice and loud. Starting with verse 1. That's good right there.
Alright, it says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let light come to be, and light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, one day. And Elohim said, let an expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And Elohim made the expanse and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the expanse heavens. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the second day. And Elohim said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the collection of waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, and the plant that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit, according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it came to be so, and the earth brought forth grass, the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the third day. And Elohim said, let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it came to be so, and Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the fourth day. And Elohim said, let the waters teem with shoals of living beings, and let birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse of the heavens. And Elohim created great sea creatures, and every living thing, every living being that moves, with which the waters teemed, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good.
Yes, sir.
And Elohim blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and increase, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the 5th day. And Elohim said, Let the earth bring forth the living being according to its kind, livestock and creeping creatures, and beasts of the earth, according to its kind. And it came to be so. And Elohim made the beast of the earth according to its kind, livestock according to its kind, and all that creep on the earth according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim he created him. Male and female he created them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, Be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over all creeping creatures on the earth. And Elohim said, See, I have given you every plant that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed, to you it is for food, and to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to every creeping creature on the earth, in which there is a living being. Every green plant is for food, and it came to be so. And Elohim saw all that he had made, and see, it was very good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the 6th day. Genesis 2. Thus the heavens... Oh, are you there? Okay. It says, Thus the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their array. And in the 7th day Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the 7th day, and set it apart, because on it he had rested from all his works which Elohim in creating had made.
Okay, very good. All right, very good. So let us go back to the beginning and look at some couple things over here. Remember to share this video, hit the like button. All right, so we look over, we go back to verse number 1, Bereshit. Bereshit, in the beginning. Hold on, let me just put this up here so we can see it. All right. So let's look at this word here. Reshit, Bereshit, in Reshit, in the beginning. Is the first, in place, in time, in order, or in rank. Reshit. When you look at the mechanical translation, it reads in summit. A summit, you know, is kind of like the top part of the mountain, right? Let's take it from the top. Okay, in the beginning. Reshit. This word Reshit, beginning, which its root is Rosh, which is the head or the point or the top or the chief of the leader. So we're talking about the beginning, the chief of time, of things. When we look at this I think that this seems to me to be a declaration of a fact that is, in the beginning of all things, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. When we look at what we see in Genesis chapter 1, we don't necessarily see the beginning of everything. We see the beginning of everything as it relates to earth. If we think about the heavens, for instance, Hashemayim, think about the heavens, we could think about the heavens in different ways. The heavens, could be where the Most High dwells, right? The heavenlies, right? Where He is. But the heavens could also be the sky, right? It could be just up in the air, like where the airplanes are, is in the heavens, right? In clouds and all of those things. And so when we look at this chapter over here, the chapter really is dealing with the beginnings of those things and their relation to earth, and not necessarily the beginning of everything. But if we think about the heavens in terms of just the sky, or the heavens of where the Most High dwells. Oh, I don't get this saucer and all that. Whatever the case may be, Genesis 1:1 is still causing us to understand that Elohim, in the beginning, whenever that was, is the creator of it. Okay? It's interesting when we think about some verses in the scripture as it relates to Hasatan, actually, because we didn't talk about Hasatan because we didn't see him yet, right? However, there's things, to me, it seems, when we look at the scriptures that I don't know. I feel like they happen before these things over here happen. Like, say for instance, if we go to Revelation, we talking about the beginning, by the way. But let's go to the end so that we can talk about the beginning. Let's go to Revelation 12. Revelation 12, read verse 7, read 7 down to verse 9.
And there came to be fighting in the heaven. Michael.
Wait, hold on a second. So we see here in the heaven. That's not necessarily talking about in the sky, like where the clouds are, right? Where airplanes go, right? Now this is heaven. That's speaking about in the heavenlies, where the spiritual beings dwell, where the Most High dwells, right? Okay, keep on.
Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought. But they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in the heaven any longer. And the great dragon was thrown out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who leads all the world astray. He was thrown to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting that we see this thing over in Revelation, that's in the end. It's talking about Hasatan, the devil, the adversary, and those that was followers of him, you should say, are cast down to earth, where he's called He's called the God of this earth. He's called the God of this place where we are. I don't know when this is. When is this? I don't know when this is. I feel like this is prehistoric history right here. I feel like this happens, this Revelations 12, 7 through 9 is prehistoric. We talk about prehistoric, we talk about dinosaurs and all these things, right? But prehistoric, I think, is this over here. This thing where Hasatan was exiled to this place. Exiled to this place. Let's look over also at Ezekiel. Go ahead, throw your comments up there in the comment section. We'll get to it. All right, Ezekiel. Let's look at Ezekiel. Where is it? You can't hardly see this little thing. Ezekiel 28. Read 28:11 and go down to, first of all, in the context, let's understand that this is speaking about a physical prince, a physical king, a literal person, right? But then it begins to describe this person in such a way where he's comparing him to this other character, right? That's not him, right? He has these ways and means about him that are like unto someone else, right? So read 11 down to 17. Go ahead, read that.
And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for the sovereign of Sor, and you shall say to him, Thus said the Master Yahweh, you are sealing up a pattern complete in wisdom and perfect in loveliness. You were in Eden, the garden of Elohim.
Okay, hold on one second. The king, this king over here, this man, wasn't in the Garden of Eden, right? He was never there, all right? So we see how he's beginning to liken the actions of this person unto someone else. Okay? All right, keep on going. Read it, start over, 13.
You were in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was your covering. The ruby, topaz, and diamond, beryl, shoham, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald and gold. The workmanship of your setting and mountings was prepared for you on the day you were created.
Okay, hold on. As I'm reading this, as we're thinking about this, when we think about other verses where it talks about the heavenlies where the Most High is, and it describes these places and it talks about all these different colors that have the colors of all of these precious stones, actually, kind of how this is being described over here. We didn't read about the Garden of Eden. That's the next chapter that it talks about. However, it's interesting, just kind of something to put in your mental Rolodex when we think about the fact that the holy city comes down to earth, right? And then we dwell there. The place where Adam and Chava were exiled from somehow goes away. Does it rise up into the heavens? I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. It's this place you can't find it. Where is it? It's guarded. No one's able to go there, right? It's guarded. This is guarded place. And so we see over here in verse 13 where it's describing the garden of Eden, and the description that is given sounds like the heavenlies. And again, it's talking about this person, this individual that was there back in the day. Okay, keep on going. 14.
You were the anointed cherub that covered, and I placed you. You were on the set-apart mountain of Elohim. You walked up and down in the midst of stones and fire. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. By the greatness of your trade, you became filled with violence within, and you sinned. So I thrust you from the mountain of Elohim, and I destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Your heart was lifted up because of your loveliness. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I threw you to the earth. I laid you before sovereigns to look at you.
Okay, very good. And so now he's about to go ahead and transform over into talking about the person again. But again, because obviously this king, he probably got too big for his britches, and he got prideful and things, and then he had to be taken down. But be that as it may, when we look at this over here, it's talking about this time when this angel, this spiritual being was created, transgressed, and was cast down to earth. When was this? When did this happen? Did this happen before or after what we just read over here in Genesis? I mean, I feel like it was before, man. I feel like all of this stuff happened already. We don't read about the creation of Hasatan in this thing. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. What is this? Because again, when we go back to Genesis 1:1, what we just read describes for us the creating the beginnings of earth, the forming of earth. But not so much everything, not the heavenlies, right? Because he didn't talk about creating these beings, these Michaels and these Hasatans. Creating himself?
Or him, yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm just saying. Doesn't talk about himself at all.
That's funny. No, it doesn't talk about any of those things, right?
That's none of our business.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is that I think that Genesis 1:1 is kind of like a title. It's like it's the thesis statement, right? In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. That's what happened. In the beginning.
That's his own statement.
That's his own statement that he's making, and because I don't feel like this is the creating. Let's just say when we talk about this created, this word here, bara, to create. We think about this word here in the context of creating something from nothing. And I think that when we take it all the way back to the beginning, the Most High did create something from nothing. However, when we look at what we read, we're not reading about him creating something from nothing. We're actually looking at him rearrange things. When we look at this, he's actually organizing something that's there. So even though we're able to look at the word bara, And we're able to have an understanding of creating something from nothing. And also we're able to understand that in the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth, and we can take that to mean that he brought forth whatever he brought forth from nothing and caused it to be something. Verse 2 onward is not a depiction of that. Because when we look over here at, well, excuse me, first of all, let's pause for a minute. Let's not go to verse 2. Let's look at verse 1 some more.
You'll be on verse 4 all day, huh? Verse 1 all day.
Well, not all day. I just want to I don't want to gloss over anything. Since nobody don't have any questions.
It's good.
I don't know what people want to talk about, so I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. Let me see here. Let's look over here at. Let me put this in a different version so that we can see something here. Okay, let me get these numbers out of here. Do I even have it without the numbers? Oh man. I don't even have it without the numbers. Alright, we gotta look at it like this. Alright, Bereshit, bara, in the beginning, bara, Elohim. Created Elohim. Et. Hashemayim, va'et, haaretz. Okay, so when we look at this, it's interesting. I'm not a Hebrew scholar. Okay. When we look at this, maybe there's some Hebrew scholars over here that can shed light on the situation. When we look at this, Bereshit, in the beginning, created Elohim et. So et is helping us to understand what it is that Elohim created. If we thought about this, from a grammatical standpoint, it's a what they call a direct object marker. Et is, it indicates the direct object of some verb. Okay, so in the beginning, created Elohim et. What did he create? The heavens and the earth. So if you think about this et over here, this thing, it's telling you, what it is that the object is doing. What did he do? But the thing about it is that every time you see somebody, or in this case the Most High, doing something, you don't see this et thing over here. So sometimes there's a necessity, I should say, for there to be a direct object marker, and sometimes there isn't. And I guess inspiration decides when it wants it to be there and when it don't want it to be there. Sometimes it's necessary for it to be there, and this is where I would need my Hebrew scholars to chime in over here. But sometimes it needs to be there, and sometimes it don't need to be there. And so how are you able to determine if, say, you was writing in the Hebrew, whether you need to have a et there or not? Because other places, when we look at things that the Most High created, it might just say that he did this or that, and there's no et there. Okay? And so when we look at this, it's interesting because, when we look at the scriptures, scriptures is this interesting thing. These scriptures is that there's all of these hidden gems that lie within it. And so when we think about this this grammatical tool that's there. It just happens to be the first letter in the alphabet and the last. It's the first and the last. It's present here in the creating of things, right? All that is created is inside of the first letter and the last letter, right? You need all of the things that's in between in order to get everything, right? It's the first and the last. So if we think about the beginning and the end, the first and the last, it contains everything, right? And so it's interesting when we look at this over here, when we think about, here, let me get this off of this version here. Let's go back to the scriptures. And let's look at John 1. Hey, read that right there for us. Read 1 and 2.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with Elohim.
Okay, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. When you think about, this is speaking obviously about Yeshua. We understand Yeshua to be the Word. When we think about Yeshua as the Word, the Word, words, the Most High creates with His words, right? When letters come together and form into words, things are created. And it's interesting that when we look at Yeshua, who was, as it says, in the beginning was the Word was in the beginning, the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. So when we look at Bereshit, what we see over there, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim va'et haaretz. The Word was back in the beginning. The first and the last was back in the beginning. The thing that contains everything all came to be through Him, and without Him not even one came to be that came to be. The thing that encapsulated all things was back in the beginning. But we could kind of poetically see that when we look over here at the first sentence of the Torah. Okay, what's this? What's our little comment say over here? What's this? Et speaks to a specific heaven, like the heaven you see here. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. The direct opposite.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's what He did, right? He created that. And so, I'm saying that as we look at this, that I think that this chapter is causing us to concentrate on the earth, and is causing us to concentrate on the heavens that are related to this earth, and not the heavenlies, where it seems some other things were going on prior to this. And I'm further saying that because when we look at verse 2, read verse 2 again.
And the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters.
Okay, and so this version here says the earth came to be formless and empty. And so if we think about it in terms of that, I want to say that is Haya. Haya. Let's see what that is here. Let me see here. Because you could think of it as being has come to be or was or be. The earth was Haya, to exist, that is to be or become. So I don't know what you do here. Hisky, get that big Bible from out of there. Because this is interesting. I guess it don't change anything if we think about the earth. Because if it came to be formless and empty, that means it was something and then it transformed into being formless and empty, where it wipes the slate clean. Or it was that already from beginning from when we're talking about here, right? So either he starts over with this place, or this place was from whenever he created it, and now he's doing something with it. You ever just have an idea about something and you kind of start it, but then you don't get around to doing anything with it, and then you come to this thing that you thought about dealing with and recognize that it's gonna be some things that I got to do to this thing in order to cause this to be something. Right now, when I look at this thing, it's nothing. But I'm going to right now make this thing into something. I feel like that's what we're looking at right here. Go ahead.
Like when I go past construction sites, it just seems like they have it just seems like they got all these ingredients, these big piles of dirt and rocks and all kinds of stuff. It just looks like it's chaos, but then from that chaos, something comes out of it.
Yeah.
And they move mounds around, and they got all the...
They really do move things around. And sometimes it's seemingly chaotic when you look at it. When you look at it, and it just looks like they're taking dirt and taking it from one place and moving it to another. Yeah. And they can take that same dirt and take it from that place and move it to some other place. Like it can seem to the onlooker chaotic. It's definitely a formless thing. When you create, you have to destroy first. They're building a big building downtown right now, and the first thing they do is go in there and dig a big hole. You're gonna build this big 20-something story building, but the first thing you gotta do is dig a hole. So I'm saying that we could look at this as if it's saying, as this translation says, came to be formless.
It was formless. It was.
Or it was. Either way, it don't matter. It's not like one hurts what's being said over it. Either way, we still have a situation. So if we think about the fact that what we talked about, what was mentioned earlier, in terms of Hasatan being banished from the heavenlies, sit down to earth, where we see later on where he's called the God of this world. Was he just sent to this place? That at the time was whatever it was, and then now the Most High is saying, I'm going to transform this place and cause it to be empty and formless. Or, we just have this big mass of whatever, this ball of earth that in, the unknown past, the Most High created, and now he's going to do something with it, but at the time it's just formless and empty. So all I'm saying is that when we look at this, it could be, came to be, or it was. The most important part of the situation is when we're dealing with it in verse 2, it's formless and empty. And there's water there. We don't talk about the creation of water. It just exists already. It's already there.
It's part of the package.
It's the situation. We know that the Most High created because we know that in the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And so everything that's in the heavens, Elohim created. Everything that's in the earth, Elohim created. But over here, this place, this verse 2, this place is formless. This place don't got no shape. It's empty. It's tohu and it's bohu. Right? It lies waste. It's desolate. It's a desert. That's tohu. Right? Let's look at this. I don't want to just be saying stuff. Let's look at this over here. The earth was tohu. It lied waste. It's desolation. So let's just say for a moment that this was a place that was inhabited by spirits, right? By spirit beings that looked a certain way. If we say that it came to be tohu, then the Most High came through with his spiritual construction vehicles and destroyed it, right? And made it to lie waste and desolation, right? And caused it to be a desert and worthless, right? And caused there to be confusion and caused it to be a place without form. He caused it to be empty, right? And not, and waste and a wilderness, right? So whatever the case may be, whether the Most High caused this place to be tohu, right? He caused it to be without form. And he came upon it. This place that he came upon that was without form. It was tohu and it was bohu. It's funny how these words aren't really related to one another. Well, they're related in definition, but in etymologically speaking, they're not like connected to each other, but they rhyme. And they kind of had the same meaning, tohu and bohu, right? Empty. It's translated as void, empty, undistinguishable, ruin, emptiness, void. Let's look at another place where we see this. Let's look at it might just be Isaiah. Let's look at Isaiah 45, 18 and 19. All right, read that for us, 18 and 19.
For thus said Yahweh, creator of the heavens, he is Elohim, former of earth and its maker.
Hold on, wait a second. It's interesting that we see over here this word being used. I didn't even think about this whenever I was looking at this earlier. Former of earth and its maker. Why do both of those things have to be mentioned here? He's creator, he's former, and he is its maker. Hold on. Let me see this real quick. Because what I'm saying that when we look at Genesis chapter 1, it's talking about the forming of things in the earth. Not necessarily the creating from nothing. That's not what we read that's implied when the Most High, when we see that he is the creator of everything. But over here in verse 18 of the 45th chapter of Yeshayahu, it says that thus says Yahweh, creator of the heavens. He's the creator of the heavens. He is Elohim, and he's the former of earth and its maker. So he made earth and he formed it. Hold on, but what? Let me see this. What's this word here? Yatsar. The squeezing into shape. To mold into form, especially as a potter, figuratively to determine that is from earth and fashion, form, frame, potter, purpose. Purpose! Well, I wish I would have thought about this earlier. I wish I would have seen this earlier where I could think about it a little more, let this thing marinate. But this is exactly what we're talking about when we think about Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1 don't describe for us point for point the Most High creating something from nothing. What it does is show the Most High forming the earth. He's forming it as if he's squeezing clay and forming it into something that he wants for it to be. He's moving things around and pushing things around that exists already. And he's giving these things purpose. He's giving these things purpose. Some things seemingly he creates. But other things, it seems that he's just yatsaring them. He's simply squeezing them into shape, forming them. Elohim, it says Yahweh is the creator of the heavens. He is Elohim, comma, he's former of the earth and its maker. Go ahead, keep on going.
He established it. He did not create it to be empty. He formed it to be inhabited.
Hold on one second. So if it says he did not create it to be empty, that's only saying that when he created it, he didn't want for it to be empty, but that don't mean that he created it empty. He had an intent, and his intention wasn't for it to be empty. But that don't mean that when he created it, it wasn't empty. Because we seen that he created everything. And when he started doing something with the thing, it was tohu and it was bohu.
Who creates a house while people are living in it?
You don't. You create it first and then the people come and live in it. But it says over here, he formed the earth. He did not. Oh. He created it. Hold on. He hath established it. He did not create it to be empty. He created it not in vain. In tohu. Okay, keep on going.
I am Yahweh, and there is none else.
And also read 19.
I have not spoken in secret in a dark place of the earth. I have not said to the seed of Jacob, seek me in vain. I am Yahweh, speaking righteousness, declaring matters that are straight.
Okay, very good. So, when we look at, let's go back to Genesis. When we look at Genesis 1, verse 2, it's interesting that the first things we see over here is the Most High getting ready to yatsar the earth, getting ready to squeeze the earth into shape, because he comes across this thing that came to be, or that actually was formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So there was a face, though. The deep had a face. There was a surface to the deep, and darkness was upon it. It was formless and it was empty. This thing, this situation, that didn't have any form. And then it said that the spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. The deep had a face, and there was darkness on it. And the waters had a face, and it said the spirit of Elohim was moving on it. Let's look at this here. Because the mechanical translation where it talks about this moving over here, it says that Elohim was much fluttering upon the face of the waters. What's this word here? Where the spirit moved. The spirit of Elohim moved. Rakaf, to brood. Flutter, move, shake. And so it's interesting. We kind of looked at this last week. Let's look at this again. Let's go over to Deuteronomy. Actually, we talked about this last week. Deuteronomy 32 and 11. Read this here.
As an eagle stirs up its nest, flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, bearing them on its wings.
Flutters over its young. Okay, so when we think about the Ruach, we think about the Spirit of the Most High, and them moving over. This is all imagery, right? An eagle that broods over his nest. It sits there and it takes his wings. It takes its wings and it sits there and it broods over it, right? And it creates movement. It creates this wind, right? It creates this movement by the fluttering of its wings over its young. And so when we think about, again, the Most High, where he's about to begin to squeeze the earth into shape, he's doing this through the spirit of Elohim. Now, when we think about the spirit of Elohim, what are we talking about? Right? We're talking about that which comes forth out from the mouth of the Most High. If I sit up here and I speak to you very closely, so closely that you could actually feel the breath, the air exiting my lungs, right? Because there's air exiting my lungs out through my mouth as sound is coming out. Right? That's what happens when you talk. Like there's air in your lungs that pushes out through your larynx and your vocal cords, right? The sound resonating on your vocal cords, coming out of your mouth. But we're talking about from a spiritual standpoint, again, the word of Elohim coming forth and squeezing the earth into shape. Because that's what's happening. As the Most High is forming this formless, empty place. Okay, so again, we're talking about the Most High taking this place, earth, and he's causing it to be something other than what it previously was. He created it from nothing, but when he's dealing with it over here, he's giving this place purpose, and he's given this place order. It was purposeless. He didn't create it to be purposeless, but at this time, it's purposeless and it's empty. Okay, so it's interesting that when we look over here at verse number 2, when we see this, what's going on over here with the Spirit going over this place that is already, there's water there, right? there's a surface there. But it all needs to be given purpose. And so when we see in verse 3, he says, and Elohim said, hold on, let's just think about this real quick. What does this look like in the Hebrew? Verse 3. Interesting. Okay, so when we look at verse 3, here, let me see if I can show you here this way. Look at verse. Let me highlight verse 3 here. Let's go back to this other version so we can see it. Verse 3. Vayamar Elohim. There's a B, ha, ya, ha, yaha, ya. Oh, it's different in this translation. Oh, verse 4. Oh, okay. So he saw Elohim saw. Look, okay. So Vaya.
You have the vowels in the book, right?
Oh, in this book. Yeah, in this book, I do, but it's harder to see it over here. But I'm just saying that it says over here, and he saw Elohim, the light was good. But we have the et over here, and he saw Elohim. What did he see? The light, that it was good. And so when we see the entrance of light, it's interesting that we have the et here. And again, I'm just saying that just because it's placed in certain places, the et is, but it's not every place. But this seems to be kind of an important situation because we're talking about the creation of, or the introduction of, light. So I just thought that was interesting. But again, when we look at the creation's sequence over here, there's not many things when we look at the creation narrative that are dealing with the creation of something from nothing. Except for light is one of the things that we see where it seems that light comes, it's not repurposed or anything. He says, let light come to be, and light came to be.
What's that? Come to be.
It's probably the same word. Here, hold on. And let there be light.
Hayah. Oh, that's the Hayah. To exist.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at it like that, or like your other perspective on it of the unveiling. Was it already there? It was just peeled back.
But how could it be there?
Because it was in the Hashemayim.
It was in the Hashemayim. Which Hashemayim? The heavenlies? Or where the clouds are?
Where the clouds.
Was it?
Well, the heavenly, I guess.
Where the Most High was.
Yes.
Oh, where the Most High was, there was light. There was light because light emanates from him. When we go to be where he is, we don't have no need for the sun. We just gonna be in his presence. There'll be no more night because he's there, right? And so again, when we look at this over here, this ain't talking about the heavenlies, because there's already light in the heavenlies, because the Most High already exists. He already exists, and then there was creations that he created already, that I'm saying that he already cast out of his place before we even get to the creation of earth. And so I'm saying that verse 3 is not the creation of light, period. It's creation of light as it pertains to earth. Or or I see, the thing is, I don't know how you just create light in and of itself. When the Most High, kind of is glorious, he kind of is light already. And so, and again, as we look at Genesis chapter 1, the context of this helps us to understand that this isn't the creation of everything. It's the forming and purposing, or repurposing, if you will, of earth. I heard someone say that this talked about being the creation of Yeshua.
No.
You ever heard somebody say that?
I don't know about that.
You don't remember, but you was there, so.
But that's just not good. That's not
I know.
good.
I know, but I heard someone say that.
Oh, that's good. I think, is that what the
I don't want to talk about who said it.
No, is that what the Jehovah's Witnesses believe?
I don't know that. It wasn't them. It wasn't them. It was somebody else. What's this say? Comments. Yes. Leave comments. Like the video. Share it. Yehoshua is the light. Yahweh said, go be light.
Stop that.
Yahweh said, go be light to Yehoshua, and he went out and became light in the earth. I guess this is kind of a version of what I was just kind of speaking of.
Because that's saying that he was created at that time, but this don't necessarily mean he was created.
No, I don't believe that he was created at this time, because he was at the beginning. And this ain't the beginning of everything. It can't be. I'm saying there must have been a place, a time when Hasatan was fought in the heavenlies and was banished. Because by the time we get to this story, we don't see about the creation of him. But he's there. He's there already. Right? When did those things happen? Are those things prehistoric? I don't know. But Yeshua, it says, being the Word, he's involved in the creation of light. Everything that was created came through him. And so again, I think that is important for us when we look at this chapter to understand that this chapter is talking about the creation, the formation of earth, the purposing, or should I say, repurposing of earth. As it relates to earth, we don't know we don't know of any light being on earth because it was void. It was bohu. It was tohu. The spirit was hovering across the deep of this place, and then the spirit speaks and light comes to be. And so we see the introduction of light to this place. Again, we see it right here in verse number 3. All right, so he sees this thing that he created, that he added to the situation. He saw the light, that it was good. And it says that he separated the light from the darkness. And so again, now that he has light in this place, he makes this distinction. He makes a separation between the light and the darkness. And then he makes more of a distinction, and he names the light and the darkness. The light he calls day, and the darkness he calls night. And we see where he says that there was evening and there was morning, day one. And so when we look over here, it's interesting when we look at this this word. Let's look at this word here, because I think that people have a hard time with this word here, and it's probably because of the fact that it's one of those words that can be viewed many different ways. Well, I'm not going to say many different ways, but a few different ways. Verse 5, we're looking at the word yom. Because even in this verse, we see it used in more ways than one. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. There was evening and there was morning one day. So this over here, this one day, is day being used in a different way than this light being called day. So as we can see it being used, it's used kind of in the what we would anachronistically say a calendar day, right? There's no calendar, but we can understand that this is being spoken about as a calendar day. In other words, everything that is incorporated in a single day. Evening, morning equals day. Okay, that which encapsulates the evening, that which encapsulates the morning, all of that, one day. But they just told us that the light is day. And so the evening is the light and it's the day. But when we look at this word over here, yom, again, its definition is such that it does actually mean things. When we look at this, the word literally means to be hot a day, as the warm hours, whether literally from sunrise to sunset or from one sunset to the next, which is two separate things, or figuratively a space of time defined by an associated term often used adverbially: age, always, chronicles, continually, daily, so on and so forth. There's a lot of ways in which you could think about this word. However, when we try to make it only mean yeah, one of these things, this is not how these things work. Right? This is not how the language works. Right? The Greek is thought is kind of like that, where it kind of just has kind of one, it's kind of, there's not many facets to what it is. But however, when we look at this verse over here, again, it's giving you, even in the verse, it's saying that there is this part of a complete day, that's the light part, that we'll call day. But there's also a dark part of the day that we call night. And both of those two things together equal one complete day. And so there's many things that we look at, but the most important thing that we're looking at, that we see when we look at this whole chapter, this is kind of just the beginning of the situation, but again, it's the Most High forming earth. He's squeezing earth into shape. He's giving this place purpose and order. All right, let's keep on going. Okay, so we see over here in day one, he creates the distinction between light and darkness. He talks about Erev and Boker. He talks about the mixture of light and darkness on both ends of the spectrum. Erev being the light going away, Boker being the light coming or being made manifest, and then the fullness of all of those things, the place where it goes from light to darkness, and the part where it goes from darkness to light, and everything in between. All right, so we see that over there with verse 3 through 5. And again, the Most High starts, we'll talk more about this later, but we see that with what he at this point made, whether he created it or whether he formed it or purposed it, whatever he did with this light, he looked at what he did and he said, this is Tov. This is good, this thing that he did. Okay, so again, we see over here, we see over here, you know, let's keep on going. Let's look over here at verse 2. Read again for us verse number 6.
And Elohim said, let an expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters.
Okay, very good. So we see over here again, we never saw the creation of water. We didn't ever see where the Most High said, let there be water. Even though we know that he created, we know that in the beginning, he created the heavens and the earth.
Water was included in that part.
Hold on. Let's look at this real quick. Because Hashemayim.
Mayim, water. Mayim means water.
It does mean water. I thought that they would connect these words together, even though it don't seem that they do. But at least phonetically, inside of the word that means heavens, inside of that you see water. Whether or not these words are have the same root is something that at least Strong's doesn't pull that out. But at least phonetically speaking, water is there. But the point is that when we get to verse 6, the Most High didn't create, he didn't bara anything. He didn't create something from nothing. He's forming now. There's waters, unless we say there's the expanse that he creates, because the water's there, but the separation is the thing that he's creating over here. This expanse. This let's look at this word. The King James says the firmament, in the midst of the waters that he created. Didn't create the waters. The waters was already there. He hovered over the waters, over the face of the waters. We saw that already. He created those in some prehistoric past that it don't talk about. But over here, he said, let there be. The thing that he let there be was this rakia, expanse, firmament, apparently visible arc of the sky. Expanse, firmament, extended surface. Literally, the word refers to the great expanse, and in particular, the vaults of the heavens above the earth. It denotes the literal sky that stretches from the horizon to horizon. The heavens above that contain the sun, moon, and the stars are all vaulted, concealed, or expanse that stands above. By extension, the psalmist uses the word to refer to the infinite and sweeping power of the Almighty. And so we see over here, he makes the separation with this expanse in the midst of the waters above. He separates the waters from the waters. So even if we can't link Hashemayim with waters, what we see happening over here is a separation from the waters that are above and the waters that are below. The waters that are above, is the heavens. In fact, if we keep on reading, he called the expanse the heavens. He called the things that was on the top part the heavens. And so again, the context helps us to see that the heavens, we see the connection. And then so over here, when we look at how, again, this is all very interesting, because when we look at the creation week, there's not a lot of things that are actually created in creation week. There's a lot of repurposing that's done. Even when we look at day 2, the thing that's created really is purpose and a forming of the waters above and below. Because again, the water was already there.
He separates the Mayim from the Mayim.
The
one
that's what it says right there.
Because the one Mayim, because the other Shemayim.
That's what it says right there.
It's obviously. It has to be connected. No way it's not. No way it's not connected.
Yeah.
Then he puts living things in the Shemayim and living things in the Mayim.
Well, we didn't get to that part yet, but
So I'm just saying.
all we see over here, again, the emphasis that I want to concentrate on when we look at this chapter is the Most High giving purpose to this place.
Mm-hmm.
He takes this place that was in disorder, that was in disarray, that was tohu and bohu, And now he's given this thing order. He's giving this thing structure. He's bringing life to the situation. Right? He takes the waters and separates them. And was anything good in this? Was anything good in this verse here? Let the expanse.
It seems like there was two separate kinds of water, though. No? I mean, because why wouldn't you just say separate the water? Say the waters. Like there's two different types of waters. Even though it's both Mayim.
I mean, but if you are taking a thing and you're separating it, you're dealing with a thing that's separated. And you're calling one thing this thing, and you're calling this other thing this other thing. So when you look at it, I mean, when you look out there, we talked about this when we thought about dew in the morning dew, where it kind of just be. It just comes to be. It didn't rain, but things are wet. Because in the Hashemayim, there's water. And it just manifests itself. Because there's a purpose for it, right? We have these, and over here, I think this is what we're seeing. He's taking this place that is predominantly water. It's mostly water, this place. And he takes some of that and says, this part is going to be for up here. And this other part is going to be for down here. But what I was saying was, where do he say that this part is good? You don't say it, dude. We missed one. He skips one here. I guess there could be an all-encompassing when he says all that he made was good. But you don't talk about that here. Okay, let's drop down. Let's keep on going. Oh, what do I have a comment over here? Elohim does the same with us, with his word. Speaks and gives purpose, separates us. Let us be light, etc. We're predominantly water as well. Yeah. Yes. And, when we think about our situation apart from the Most High, we're like this thing that the Most High created, where we read in that verse in Isaiah, where he didn't create for the earth to be tohu. He didn't create for the earth to be formless, worthless. However, it don't take away from the fact that before he came and began to squeeze it into shape, that's what it was. And so when we look at man outside of a relationship with our Creator, we are in fact worthless. We're tohu and bohu until the Most High come along and take us and squeeze us into shape through his living word. And so when we look at the creation week, it's interesting that we see that the Most High, in the forming of earth, we can also see the way in which the Most High reforms fallen man and brings us into purpose. And he's showing us this before man is created, before man even falls. And so we could think about what the apostle talks about later, and saying that Yeshua being slain from the foundation of the earth, there was even that there was even a necessity for Messiah to have been slain before the foundation of the earth. Why do we see this connection over here in Genesis chapter 1 with the Most High taking this desolate place and adding himself to it, bringing it into purpose? And this is the same thing that we see with fallen man before man even gets to the place of falling. Because this was always the point of everything. The Most High, if Yeshua was slain from the foundation of the earth, there was always going to get to a place where we humans was going to be separated from the Most High, and we were going to need to be reconnected with him. And the process looks just like this over here, with the whole thing kicking off with the Most High saying, "Let there be light in you." Let my light force come and dwell on the inside of you, and let there be a distinction inside of you between that which is light and that which is darkness. All right, let's keep on going. Let's drop down. Let's look at day 3. Verse 9. Read verse 9 again.
And Elohim said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it came to be so.
Okay, it's interesting that we see there's 2 days over here where the Most High ain't doing nothing but moving water around. I mean, it's an oversimplification of what's happening, but basically that's what he's doing. He's just moving water around. He takes water and puts it up in the sky and leaves the other water down. Over here, he takes water and moves it out the way where the land can be revealed. What's he create over here? What did he create?
He just unveiled.
He didn't create nothing. He just moving things. I'm saying we talk so much about creation week and the Most High creating something from nothing, but the majority of what he's doing is purposing things. The majority of what he's doing is forming the earth. He's taking this thing that he created from nothing at some time in the unforeseen past, but now he's forming it and he's moving stuff around. He's taking water and he's putting it places. Over here, he said he takes the water to a place and it just stops just right there. You know, that actually in and of itself is an amazing situation for the Most High, because the water could go further, and sometimes it does, but only when the Most High say go. But every other time, the water, there's a spot where the water go to, and it don't go past that spot.
Come right back down.
That's it. Even when you got tide where it's high tide and low tide, there's still a place that it come to that it don't go beyond. And that's because the Most High said the water just gonna go just right here. That's it.
I think it's. I mean, we know about the tides. I'm not acting like it's so new, but when you go to the ocean and you just feel that pull come of the water, it feels like it's being pulled back into
It's powerful.
the ocean. It's
And,
enough to knock you over.
and let me just say, I don't know how you're talking about it because you wasn't even trying to get into the ocean. Now Daddy got in the ocean, and I understand that water, just like you're saying, just how you're
I
kind
just
of
experienced it over
you're
at the
philosophizing about it.
edge. I experienced it at the edge.
I literally felt the push and the pull of the ocean, and there's a distinctive push, and there's a distinctive pull to the waters of that are below, and that is powerful. It's powerful. When I was in that water, and them waves was crashing in. And it was one thing whenever I was kind of bracing myself for the water or kind of moving with the water. But one time it caught me in the wrong moment. Like I was in the ocean and I was like still able to stand. But as the waves was coming in, I was trying to jump with the waves. Right? But at some point, I don't know if I was getting tired or whatever, but them waves hit me in the ribs. Oh my goodness. It was like, it was something. And we just talking about water. Now, when I lived in Florida, I was down there maybe 4 months or so, and a hurricane came. I'm from Pittsburgh. We don't have hurricanes. When I experienced what water can do, it's nothing short of amazing. Cement sidewalks buckled. The shoreline. There was a highway that went down the road. You knew that the Gulf of Mexico was right over there, but you couldn't see it because there were sand dunes between the road and the Gulf. But when that hurricane came, it washed all that stuff away. Where you was able to sit. Now these dunes, they were tall. Like you literally, I don't care what kind of vehicle you was in, you couldn't see where the Gulf was from the road because of these sand dunes. But when that water came, washed it all, cleared it all out. I mean, I was working at a place where it was like a beach resort. The entire first floor was covered with sand. Sand went from the beach into the first floor they had these walls and barriers and stuff. Walls come down, cement's buckled, sand in the first floor. From the water. From the Most High saying, tonight, we moving this line back a little bit. But when stuff like that happens, we're able to understand the power. The sages talk about the fact that the Most High, who is the creator, but there's things that he's always creating. And when we say that, we're talking about the fact that this division, this line that the Most High is always holding. He holds it in place until he doesn't. When you see these tsunamis where the water, we think about oceans coming and going, but a tsunami, the water just comes. And it don't never go. Like when it goes, it's like after it done reached all the way inland. But on a regular basis, the Most High is keeping that water where he put it at. He's always working in doing that. And so, again, when we look at, what we see over here that's going on in day 3, where he takes the waters that are under the heavens, the waters that are under the waters that he called heavens, he gathered them all into one place, and he let the dry land appear. And then that came to be so. And he calls that place, he calls earth. And in the waters, he calls seas. And then he says that thing that he did, he calls good. He calls tov. He said it is good. Well, it's interesting that we have within day 3, there was no tov in the day 2, but we get 2 of them in day 3. He does this thing with the seas and the land, and he calls that good. And then also now with the land, he takes and says, let the earth sprout vegetation and plants and seeds and fruits and all of these things. And he looks at all of that and says that was good. So I guess he makes up for the other over here. But it's interesting when we look at I saw this interesting perspective on creation, where it talks about as we look at the purposing of the earth, the forming of the earth, the connection between the days, the connection between what's made on the first day and the second day and the third day, fourth, fifth, and sixth day. When we look at days 1, 2, and 3, there's corresponding things that happen on other days that correspond with 1, 2, and 3. So when we look at day 1, 2, and 3, the thing that happens on day 1 corresponds with what is made on day 4. And the thing that happens on day 2 corresponds with day 5. And the thing that happens on day 3 corresponds with is made on day 6. So let's talk about that a little bit, because as we look at day 4, it says, here, read verse 14 again for us.
14?
Yeah. Hold on, let me scroll down.
Says, and Elohim said, let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens, and separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times, and for days and years.
Just go ahead and read all that.
And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens, to give light on the earth, and it came to be so. And Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good.
Okay, very good. Oh, yeah. Oh, my phone. 19.
And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the 4th day.
Okay, very good. So, when we look at day 4 now, we live on earth. Newsflash. We live on earth. And the light that we experience on earth comes from the sun. And so when we look at verse 14, where he said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, he already said before that the light and the dark was going to be separated. In verse 3. Right? In day 1. But again, when we think about what creation week is, what it represents, is the purposing or repurposing of things that the Most High created already. He already said let there be light, but now he's giving a full kind of duty list to the lights that he created. He never said, let there be water, but we've seen over here these two different times where he's dealing with the movement of the waters. And so it shouldn't be too much for us to think about the fact that he brings in light in day 1, and then in day 4 now he's kind of giving the duty list of the lights in day 4, because we already just got finished of seeing where day 2 he's separating the waters and making the heavens and the waters, and then he's separating more waters and making the earth and the sea. And so once we get to the place of understanding that what's going on is the Most High bringing order to chaos, it helps us to see what's going on over here when we get to day 4. And now we have this introduction of sun, moon, stars, where he says, these things will be used for understanding signs and seasons and days and years. He gives order, purpose, function to the lights.
Now wait. Now they wasn't created then at that time. They was just given a function.
It don't seem like they was created. It seemed like they was already created. Just like water was already created, but he gives it functions with firmament and heavens and earth and water and seas. This whole thing isn't about bringing something from nothing. It's about bringing order to chaos. And I think when we think about it in regards to what the context points us towards, it helps us to understand it better. Because the whole thing, he starts off with this voluminous mess of shapelessness and emptiness. And the only thing that he adds to the shapelessness and the emptiness of this place is kind of just rearranging what he already has there. And so how much more so when we look at day 4, when we think about the fact that he already said that there's going to be light and day and night and darkness already. But now he's taking these lights that are in the sky and fully designating each one of their particular purposes in the heavens. And so we can see where there's a correlation between day 1 and day 4. Where day 1 light is brought to the situation. Day 1 light is brought to the situation. Day 4 light is fully given its purpose and function and job in terms of, being the lights that we understand, being these things that we look at for signs and seasons and days and years. All right, let's keep on going, because it's interesting that when we look at day 2, when the Most High did the thing with the waters and the skies and the waters, the corresponding day, day 5, where he makes, read verse 20 for us.
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat? It was day 1 goes with what?
Day 1 corresponds with day 4.
Okay. Which we didn't get to that.
No, we did get to. Day 1 is let there be light.
Oh,
Day
light.
4 is there's the lights in the sky.
Oh, okay.
the sun and the moon and the stars for the lights, seasons, and times. So he creates the light, and then he purposes the light.
Now we're going to look at day 2.
And so now we saw in day 2 where he basically separates the waters and has heavens and waters in day 2. But day 5, read verse 20 and 21.
Verse 20 and 21.
Let me move up some.
20 and 21 says, And Elohim said, Let the waters teem with shoals of living beings, and let birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse of the heavens. And Elohim created great sea creatures, and every living being that moves, with which the waters teemed according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good.
Okay, very good. So, okay, so we see now the connection between day 2 and day 5. He made the heavens, and he separated the waters. In day 5, he made the birds that fly in the heavens, and he made the fish that swim in the seas, in the waters.
But there's an interesting part there, because it says, let the birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse of heavens. So it's like the expanse area is not, it's almost like it's heavens and this little space called the expanse. It's like, you know, it wasn't always there. Like the firmament created this area that didn't exist. So it's like the heavens, but it's like in addition to heavens or something.
Well, the expanse is the separation, right? He made the expanse to separate the heavens from the waters. And so the expanse of the heavens is the sky. But again, we're talking about the heavens that are in relation to the earth, not the heavenlies,
Right, yeah.
where the Most High
Right,
is.
right, yes.
And so that's another thing that we have to always remember when we're looking at this. Heavens is one of those things where, depending on how it's used, it could mean sky, or it could mean where the Most High is. But in the context of Genesis 1, again, is dealing with, you know, the place where the clouds are. In the heavens. Right?
And to me, what's interesting also about the connection between sea creatures and sky creatures is the scientists kind of put them together. They both have eggs.
They both do have eggs, don't they?
Your young comes
They
from
both fly
eggs.
too.
Yeah, one flies in
One
water.
flies in water, and the other one flies in
In
the
the sky.
water that's in the sky.
Yeah, because I guess them little fins is wings,
They're
right?
wings. They're little wings.
Tail, yeah,
Unless you
little
go to
wing.
Barbados, they got birds. They got fish that fly in the sky.
They jump out of
Oh,
the
they
water.
really just jump really high, but
And they
they're
flutter
flying
them,
fish.
They get out of the water. But it's like, you know, the two things are similar. You know,
yeah,
in structure, I should say.
yeah. Right, and so the thing that he did create, right? The things that he did create, that he did bara, he
Well,
put
did create those things.
he put into this place that he already made ready for them, right? He made the place, he made it ready for them, and then he put them in it. Hold on, let me get my cursor here.
You make
Okay.
their homes from.
Oh, then over here, look, we have it over here too, right? So Elohim bara et. What did he create? The great whales and every living creature that moves. All right, so over here we see again. I thought that was interesting. This thing that we see with the way that the things that the Most High is forming, and the few things that He is creating from nothing. He's doing all types of creating, but not all of it's not from nothing. Some of the creating that He's doing is structure and order and function. But some of the stuff is something from nothing, like these winged birds and these fish that He put in this place. Okay? So then he says those things are good. He blesses those things and says, be fruitful and increase and fill the waters and the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And that's the 5th day. All right, so let's go down to, let's read again verse 26 and 27.
And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over all the creeping creatures that creep on the ground. And Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim, He created him. Male and female, He created them.
Okay, very good. I guess we should have started up here, because we don't want to skip the fact that He made these animals, right? He made the beasts of the earth and the things, the livestock, the things that creep on the earth. And then He gets to making man, where He said that He wanted to make man in His image. So again, when we think about these things, on day 3 is whenever He takes the water back and tells the water to stop, where He's able to expose the land on day 3. And then day 6 is where He fills the land with the living things, whether it be the animals, the livestock, the creatures that creep, and then man that will eventually fill the earth, right? And so again, we see that connection between day 3, what was created, what was purposed, what was squeezed into form on day 3, with what we see with day 6, with the filling of that thing. And so we look at verse 26, where He says, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. I want to look at this Tselem a little bit. Elohim said, let us make man in our image, which is Tselem. Click on that. Find my cursor here. Tselem, meaning to shade, that is illusion, resemblance, hence representative, figure, an idol, image, vain show. And so when we think about shade, shade is the thing that is made when light shines on something, and the space that's there kind of forms the shape of the thing, visibly on the surface.
The silhouette of whatever.
The silhouette. Yes, that's a good one. The silhouette. That's probably French, or French derivative. So there's a connection between the silhouette that is created and the origination of the light that comes. it's interesting that we see this word resemblance, something that is an illusion. Um, we just read last week where the Most High said there is none like him. There's none like him. But when he made us, he actually made us in to be representative figures of parts of who he is. Just like when we stand in the light and the shade that's created, the silhouette is you can see the similarities, but it's not as if a whole other you is created with your shade picture, right? It's not like a duplicate of you. It's not like a carbon copy of you. There's a resemblance of you. And the same thing is true when we think about who we are in terms of being created in the image of the Most High. There's things that he put inside of us that is like unto who he is, what he is. But what he said is actually true when he said there is none like Elohim. We kind of just, there's things about us, right? He gives us a mind. He gives us the ability to create. When you think about art, the Most High put in us the ability to create beautiful things. When you look at creation, when you look at the things that the Most High made, even down to molecules, atoms, and things, these things are pieces of art. And this is something, especially when you think about art, this is something that you're able to look at and understand that, to me anyway, I can know that there is a creator when I understand what he's put inside of us to be able to create things, masterpieces, right? Because he exemplified that first for us. When we sit up here, when you go out here and you get away from, well, I don't even really gotta say get away from the cities, because you can see what we do, some of the things that we've created. But when you get out into nature and see what nature, what's in nature, the thing that the Most High created, these things are magnificent views. And so, that's just one way that we can look and see how, we, kind of were, in fact, created in that image. The Most High, of course, he doesn't have a body, right? But he created us in such a way that, this is how he made us. But the representative of himself, this is interesting because why? We think about Yeshua. We looked at the scripture in Colossians where it talks about how Yeshua is the express image of Elohim bodily. But this is how he made us. But the Most High don't have a body, but he made us to have a body. And then he has Yeshua being the express representation of himself bodily that has a body.
He don't have a body, but he has an image. And that image might not be a body, but it's something.
It's
And we
it's
resemble that
something.
image.
But I'm saying that the resemblance that we resemble is not necessarily the bodily form.
Right, yeah.
It's like thought and contemplation, the ability to create, to make things. I think the image that here, at least the image here, I think is less about the physical and more about kind of what we're made of. Our ability to think about things and decide about things and make choices and all of these things that we have inside of us. I think when we think about the image that we're created in, I think it speaks more. I think it speaks more to that than the physical image. Even though we have this situation where we have, the way that he deals with us is interesting. The way that he speaks to us about himself, he talks to us in a ways that we're able to relate to. That's physical. Where he talks about his hand. But does he have a hand? Right? When he talks about the fact that Yeshua being his word. But does he have a mouth and a tongue with teeth that words come out of? Right? A throat, esophagus, and all these things, right? We wouldn't necessarily think that he has those things, but the way that he speaks to us so that we're able to understand, like using that language of these corporal, these physical things.
Well, the scripture says that he is a spirit. So
That's what it says.
I think more or less that he's talking about what's on the inside of us more than this body that's going to perish. So I think the image and the likeness would be our spiritual selves instead of our fleshly
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. Our inner workings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The inner things that go on, the thing that motivates and pushes this frame that we possess.
I mean, if you think about your thoughts, right? Your thoughts aren't something you can touch. Sometimes they come and they go. It's not your physical brain that's the thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So all of the things that make us us, it's not really the flesh. Those are just the housings.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The thing that really makes you is a part of you that can't be seen or touched.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The thing that actually makes you who you are. When you think about, somebody dies and you go and see that person's body in the casket, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Even like your lifelessness, your lifeless body even looks different because
It does,
it don't
yeah.
have
It
it don't have you to
Like the spark
to
is
illuminate
gone.
it
It's like,
anymore.
yeah. It's like, well, I don't know if that's due to the fact that they're taking all of our body parts after we die. You know what I mean? Taking all of our vitals.
Yeah, filling you up with that fluid.
I mean, but even though somebody goes, they still stay with you.
Who they are.
Yeah, who
their
they are,
essence.
who they were. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with their body.
Yeah. Right, because there's something about that person that you're able to hold on to in your thoughts,
Right.
in your non-corporal mind.
Right.
And so again, we think about this shade this word that means shade, Tselem. Elohim created man in his own image. We are this image of the Most High, where he created us really to function in a way that was similar to what he would be if he was someone walking around. Talk about the Torah, how we deal with the Torah. The Torah given to us is the character of the Most High humanized. We're able to manifest the character of the Almighty on earth. If the Most High was a physical being, this is what he would do. He would go around and he would love people. He would help people that needed help. He would free people that were in bondage. Right? He would do all these things that he calls for us to do. Right. He would be generous. He would be generous to those that were lacking. Right? He all these things. And so he's given us this law that helps for us to be able to behave in a way that is a shade of what he is in the heavenlies here on earth. It's just a picture. It's just kind of something that we see in the mirror darkly, right? It's just a portion of what the Most High is, that we walk out here. Okay, let's keep on going. Let's what time is it? Let's keep on going here. We're almost finished here. Let's drop down. Let's look at let's see here what the sages say about this. About Tselem. As man's distinction consists in a property which no other creature on earth possesses, intellectual perception, in the exercise of which he does not employ his senses nor move his hand or his foot. This perception has been compared, though only apparently, not in truth, to the divine perception, which requires no corporal organ. On account of the divine intellect with which man has been endowed, he is said to have been made in the form and likeness of the Almighty, but far from it be the notion of that supreme being as corporal, having a material form. So, again, we think about the inner workings of what we are, the things that we're able to do and accomplish, and the things that just originate from within us. Our having desires to do this or that. Again, these are all things that, perceiving things. These are all things that kind of liken us to the Most High. All right, so 28, read 28. Read 28. 28. Oh, yeah, just 28. Oh, let me go down.
28. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and increase, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over all creeping creatures on the earth.
Okay, so it's interesting at the conclusion, really, of all of these things that are created. We see now the Most High has given order, function, purpose to this place that started off as a place of disorder, of chaos even, that was void and formless. And now that the place has a form, now that it's full of life, when he creates man, he calls for man to maintain the order that he has established. And so it's interesting when we look at, again, kind of an overarching theme that we see inside of Genesis chapter 1, the Most High putting everything in its place. And then basically the last thing that he does whenever he creates man is orders man to keep the things in their place.
That's right.
So this whole thing is just about order and the maintenance of the order that he created. Okay, so it's less about you know, the kind of the chronology of things. He did this on this day, this on that day, this was created, this, but the overarching understanding, I think, that we're able to see is he makes a thing, he purposes the thing, right? He makes a thing, he purposes the thing. That's what we saw we saw it 3 times. He made light, later on he purposes light. He made the skies, and then he puts things in the skies. He made the waters, he put things in the waters. He made the earth, he put things on the earth. He put all these things in motion, and then he said, man, you take care of all this stuff.
The thing that he made like himself.
Yes. The thing that he made like himself, he said, you rule over this thing. He literally said, rule over the fish and the birds and the creeping things on the earth. He made little idols in man, Selem, and he said, you rule over these things. I'll rule over you. You rule over these things that I created for you. I made this perfect situation, and then now I'm going to put you in it.
So why would people start worshiping the things that he created whenever?
It don't make any sense
Don't
because
make
they
no
supposed to be. We're supposed to be above these things. So how we gonna look at these things and then treat these things like a god when we're God over the things, essentially?
That don't make any sense.
What they do is they make these things and say these things are gods, and this thing is talking to me, so you gotta listen to me. Yeah, that calf over there, it's talking to me. You can't hear it. Can you hear it talk? I can hear it talk. So bow down and worship the calf, as I tell you what it says.
Yeah. That's interesting how we are, but I think that the very fact that people are able to come up with these thoughts and ideas just points us back to the way that the Most High made us to be. It's His image inside of us that's causing us to get to the place where we just want to be like Him, just like the angels that tried to rise up against Him. He made us to be like Him this way, where sometimes we take it too far and get it confused. We get the things confused, but He made us like this, like Him. It's so easy. We're just a small turn away from turning something right wrong. We're just so close from purpose to dysfunction.
Yeah, and it's like, once you get off course, I mean, it's just, your life can go so bad just from that slight little turn. And the thing is, like, you see so many people that have so much potential to be great at whatever they want to do, but that slight little turn mess their whole life up.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a fine line between right and wrong. When we look at the commandments, even right, when we think about the idea of coveting another man's, but you gotta say another man's whatever, because I coveted my wife before she was my wife, but she wasn't nobody else's wife, so I was able to covet her, right? And so the idea of, you know, something that's sinful is just doing a thing outside of its order, outside of its purpose. So the thing necessarily is there's nothing wrong with the thing. It's, are you doing the thing in order or out of order, which makes it to be right or wrong. And so we love to be adored and to receive adoration and praise. That's how he made us to be. But sometimes we'll sit up here and make ourselves be this special person where we now want the praise and worship of of people, when all of that's supposed to be directed towards the Most High.
Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with, doing something to the best of your ability, and someone saying, "Hey, man, you did a great job,"
Yeah.
and not feeling good.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when you start saying, "Oh yeah, I am,"
Yeah. Yes,
mean?
I deserve this.
yes.
Yes, the praise. I love it. But that's what we do. Because we were created. We were, in fact, created in His image. But the thing that goes along with that, what we see in this chapter again, is the order, the purpose. Right? He made all these things for, their specific purposes. Okay, we have a question here. Since Yah created man in His image, and man was made from the dust of the earth, is the earth in Yah's image? I wouldn't say so. Again, I think that goes talking about is the image that He created us in is not necessarily the physical form. So He used the ground, the dust of the ground, to make us. However, the thing that connects us to the Most High is that internal thing, that thing that's on the inside. And so it's it's the spirit.
When the scripture talks about He knows our heart,
Right.
He's not talking about this thing that's pumping blood and you know what I mean, keeping us alive. No,
Right.
He's talking about He knows us.
Mm-hmm.
Our thoughts,
our intentions.
Yeah.
When Yeshua was saying things like that, when he knew the heart of the person before he even spoke, he wasn't talking about knowing his body parts. He was talking about what was going on. Even though he said his heart, he was talking about what was going on in his mind. Because nothing happens inside of your heart except for pumps blood.
Right. So when it says the heart is deceitfully wicked,
Yes.
that thing that's pumping blood is wicked.
It's just regular.
Yeah, right.
And even your brain, it's not talking about your brain, but it's talking about the incorporeal things, the spiritual things that's going on inside of your mind that you can't see, your motivations, the things inside of you. And in that way we're creating His image. Okay, very good. So lastly over in chapter 2, we see the Shabbat. We see Shabbat, where he says the heavens and the earth were completed. And again, the heavens and the heavens in connection with the earth, like the skies, like this place where we are. Not necessarily where where the Most High dwells. Because again, when we think about here, let me pull this up real quick. When we look at let's see, where is it? In the 20s, I think, maybe. Okay, start reading at verse 22.
Yahweh possessed me.
Wisdom is the me. Okay, keep going.
The beginning of his way, as the first of his works of old. I was set up ages ago at the first, before the earth was ever was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs heavy with water. Before mountains were sunk, before the hills I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth and the fields, or the first dust of the earth. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. When he set the clouds above. When he made the fountains of the deep strong. When he gave to the sea its law, so that the waters would not transgress his mouth. When he inscribed the foundations of the earth.
Okay, that's good right there. We get the idea over here. There's things that was going on in the heavenlies before the earth was. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so when we think about over in Genesis 2 and 1, this heavens here is in regards to earth, the skies in the earth. Because he done already gave these places names. Like the ground is the earth, the sky, the air is the heavens, right? And so when he was done making these things, is what he's talking about. Not everything, because there was things going on created already. Mm-hmm. Okay, keep going. Just read 2 and 3.
It says, and in the seventh day, Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his works which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his works which Elohim created and had made.
Okay, very good. So when we look over here at creation week, we see, first of all, it's culminated from a man's standpoint in terms of man given the job, the purpose to maintain the order that was established by the Most High. And then we see with Shabbat, now it's time to rest. Okay, this and this whole thing is all for us. The Most High wasn't tired when he was done. It wasn't like he put in a hard day's work and he had to come and take his boots off and pushing one boot off at a time, taking his boots off and getting all tired from all of this work that he did. But he knew that this would be our situation. Mm-hmm. And so we're able to look back. We're able to remember that which the Most High did in his creating, and we memorialize the fact that the Most High is creator and sustainer of all things when we do all of our work for 6 days and rest on the 7th. Not because the Most High works and gets tired, but he knows that we work and get tired. But not only from a physical standpoint, it's not only about that physical rest, but it's about, at this point, it's about acknowledging the Most High, who he is, as creator. At this point, it's not about toiling and living off the sweat of your brow. At this point, it's only about acknowledging the Most High and who He is and creation. Go ahead.
Well, just like you were saying about the Torah being what He would do if He walked the earth, when He creates man, He knows that man's going to get tired. So
Yeah, from a physical standpoint, yeah.
if He was a physical being,
Mhm.
after all the work He did, He would
Yeah.
be tired. So
Yeah, if he was a man, he would be tired. And we, as men, we do get tired. Yeah. So from a physical standpoint, there's that. But I think the most important thing that we acknowledge at this point, dealing with the Shabbat, is the fact that the Most High, Elohim, is creator. And He created all of these things for our pleasure. He created all of these things for us. All of the stuff that He made, He said, He basically wraps it up in a package and gave it to man. Say, here, take care of this. Enjoy this. Take care of it. I made it perfect for you. Here you go.
He made a house.
Take the keys.
That's it. Live in it. Rule over it. These animals, all this stuff.
You didn't talk about that, but the first letter being the house.
No, I didn't talk about it. Because there's more to talk about in regards to the creation and the rest of chapter 2. But essentially, when you look at all of creation, the whole thing was created for man. All of it. All of creation was created for man. Just like we see the correspondence between the light and the lights and the sky and the birds and the land and the animals and the animals and man on the land. All of these things were put together, put in place to be a place where the ones that the Most High created were to dwell, where He was to dwell and He was to rule over. And so it is a house, right? It is a house. It is a place where the Most High dwells. He just like Yeshua said, He's going to go away. My Father has many mansions, and I'm going to go away and provide a place for you. He's talking about providing a house. But the first thing that the Most High even did for man was the thing that Yeshua says He's going to go away and do for His bride, is to make a place for man to dwell. And in this creation week, we see the picture of that. All right, very good. All right, so that being said, does anybody have any last minute questions, comments before we are done?
What about the 12-hour Sabbath?
Oh, 12-hour Sabbath. People talk about the 12-hour Sabbath, and they talk about it from here. Some people do. There's other thoughts, but when we look at Genesis chapter 2, if we remember, each day, at the culmination of speaking about the day that was created, He says, and there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day, the fifth day, the fourth day, so on and so forth. But on the seventh day, it says, and in the seventh day, Elohim completed His work, which He had done, and He rested on the seventh day from all His work, which He had made. It don't never say, and there was evening, and there was morning, the seventh day. And so, the people who are 12-hour Sabbath people might say, well, they do say, there's no evening mentioned here. So the only part that you're supposed to rest on is the day part. Because that's when the work is done anyway. That's what they would say. There's a few issues with that. One issue is that when you think about this day that was created to remember the Most High, the day that memorializes creation, we just given that half a day. We just give the time that exemplifies and memorializes the Most High and His part in creation, which is the whole part. He did the whole thing. And we say that, well, I don't say, but the 12-hour Sabbath people say, well, that's the part that I would give him. And so every other day you have the two parts. You have the evening part and you have a work part. And so even if you just work, even if you was to say you only worked during the day portion of the day, there's still an evening portion where your day's not done, as of where you do whatever pleasurable thing that you might want to do. So you still have a part of the day that exists in that wholeness of a day, where your whole life is not, don't just revolve about only work. You have the part that's after work, that you're able to do whatever you feel like doing. But the time that you give to the Most High is just that little part. Now there's that. But the other thing is that when we think about the idea of a cycle, the precedent for the cycle has already been set by the Most High. He said that a whole day consists of these two parts. A whole day consists of these two parts. And so, again, you get back to the idea of giving the Most High half of his due. He only asking you for one day out of 7. And then, but we can't only just give him just the whole day. We want to just give him a half of the day. That's not what this is speaking about. Over you create kind of this limbo part where the evening portion of the day isn't anything.
Doesn't exist.
What do it connect to? It don't connect to the 6th day. It don't connect to the 7th day. It's just a non-attached portion of the day. Right? There's a problem with the continuity of things when we think about it in that way. From a historical standpoint, we're able to know that the people never, thought about things in that way. First of all, a 12-hour day is only one day in a year. The day part of the day only lasts 12 hours on one day.
2 days.
Maybe.
2 days.
I don't know.
2 equinoxes.
Yeah, but the other equinox is at the middle, but the days is going to be a shorter day. When the autumnal equinox happens, that's going to be in the fall, right?
Yes.
So the days are already starting to get shorter already.
I'm just saying 12, 12 is in the fall and in the spring.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Is it though? The days is getting shorter. The days get shorter.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about the length of a day.
Okay, Okay, so the day is getting shorter, but it hits 12:12.
Does it though?
Yeah, it does. Don't it?
Well, we'll have to verify that. But if we say, if we say, well, there's a period. But if we say that what you're saying is correct, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. That's 2 days. But all the other times it's not that. And so
then they say it's just the hot part of the day. Yo.
I know, but the problem is that you only want to make the word mean one thing when we know that the word means more than one thing. And so it's hard to put, you can't put that thing in a box and say that, because we can just go back down the line and look at every place that the word yom is used in the Bible, which is probably a whole bunch. But you can't look at that and say that it only means, it's only giving you that hot part, because sometimes it's talking about a whole complete day. Always turn back to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Feast of Unleavened Bread lasts for 7 days. But if it's only 7 hot parts, I can have yeast at nighttime. But it's not talking about the hot part. It's talking about the whole day. It's talking about the calendar day. So it can be used in that way, but we can't tie up the word yom and make it only mean that.
Right. I mean, it means both the hot part and the whole total day.
Yeah, the whole complete day. Even when he says the day he called, the light he called day, and he called and the dark he called night. Right after he says that, he said evening, and there was evening and morning the first day. And so when he said the first day, he didn't only mean the first hot part. He meant the whole section of the day. And so, and when we think about the Shabbat from a standpoint of kind of a quote unquote religious situation, it's not only about not working. When we try to make the Shabbat about only just not working, we cheapen this time that it is, because it's not only just a time where we cease from working. It's also a time when we commune with the Most High and the Most High's people, with each other.
Absolutely.
And so there's a double component. There's 2 things that we think about with Shabbat. I'm saying outside of the creation week situation. Here it's not mentioned the other part of it. But later on, when we see what the Shabbat is to the Most High's people, it's more than just not working.
But now people look down on us.
Who?
People, they say that y'all,
I'm saying there's more people than just those people.
I'm saying the new people that's coming on the block look down on us who do a 24-hour Sabbath and say that we're doing a Jewish Sabbath.
Oh, well,
we're
I'm
doing
Jewish. You know what I mean? I was Jewish before them people was Jewish. So what's this?
But anyway, I think the proper view is Yom Shekel Shabbat, a time that is all Shabbat. And so that's why it doesn't go into the ending of the Sabbath. It just talks about the Shabbat as if it's forever. Doesn't have an end.
And not only is Shabbat a picture of the fact that the Most High is Creator, but it also points us to eternity. And so that thought process of thinking about the Shabbat of being this unended thing is that the Shabbat that we'll experience at the end of all things is just that. There is no night part at the end of the day.
It don't end. It's forever.
But now, though, we have to think about the way that cycles go, right? And the cycles here is, there being 2 parts of the day.
Really 3 part, but it just doesn't mention that.
Well, really is 4 parts, right?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Right? You got the evening and night, and Boker and day. What are these verses? I've heard John 9:4, Revelation 22:5, and Revelation 21:25 used to justify half-day Sabbath seems to put the cart before the horse. Let me just pick one of these and look at it. What's John 9:4 say? John 9:4. It's necessary for me to work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one is able to work.
That's interesting.
Is it though? Is it though? Is he literally talking about a day, or is he talking about like?
The scripture says
It's
we're
kind of
children the
prophetic.
day,
It's kind of prophetic what he's saying. I mean, I
not
see.
children of the night.
I see where somebody would be going, but again, the problem is that you're giving the Most High half of something. He's already asking you for 1/7 of something, and you're making it to be a 14th. If my math is correct.
I tell
Well,
people
this
if they
actually-
want to do that, they just need to go to sleep when the sun sets.
Well, this actually would work against what they're saying, because it says there's no work at night. So they think that you can work at night and you take off during the day. So this scripture would actually work against what they're saying.
You better take off. You better not work that
I
night.
think that the point that Mashiach is using over here is he's not arguing 12-hour Sabbath here. He's saying you get what you need to do while you could get it done.
Right.
We can't just take that and let it be, let that be what. There's places on the earth that have 1 or 2 hours of sunlight during certain seasons, 2-hour Sabbath. Right. Right. I mean, yeah. What do they do in Alaska? Alaska, it's like Erev, like all for months.
What's the scripture talk about when it talks about how, people are just, waiting for the Sabbath to end so they could get back to business?
That was that's lunar Sabbath.
Yeah, but the scripture basically is talking about how people are trying to, just hurry up the Sabbath so they can get back to doing whatever their fleshly desire is.
Yeah, and I think, to me, I feel like that. To me, that is probably, I don't know people's intentions. It seems like that to me though is, has to be the thought process, because at the end of the day, I don't, when the scripture talks to us about days and times, it don't describe it to us in that way in terms of just thinking about half of the day. But the other thing is that we got to think about the historical aspect, and people, when we go back in history, the people wasn't doing that. The people wasn't only just thinking about the Shabbat as being just only the day part. This is a new thing that came about with people who,
I don't want y'all to do that. Don't do that.
aren't really lining themselves up with, from a historical reference. So it's a thing that people do, but I'm not sure where, I don't know how you justify it. I know where they go in the Bible, but I don't believe that the Bible is saying what they're saying that the Bible says about it. Let's just say that. Okay, so that being said, what did you find a verse?
I was looking for it.
All right, so there's more that we can talk about that because of the fact that we have more to speak of in terms of the creation of things on in the rest of chapter 2. So for now, we'll say that we'll be done for this for now. Y'all willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat and deal with the continuation of chapter 2 of Genesis. Everybody, make sure that you like the video, share it to your people. Put some comments over in the comment section. And y'all willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat to do this all over again. So we'll say for now, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.